What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button because that is the most important thing you can do for me on this channel. What it does is that it helps to make sure that those who are subscribed to the channel will indeed get the notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm as well. Secondly, if you're new to the channel or maybe you've been ghost watching this channel for quite some time now, please do me a favor and yourself a favor by hitting the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you'll be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, please make sure you share this video out on your social media platforms to your family and friends to inform them on this news and information. And yes, it does help to give me a slight boost in the YouTube algorithm also. And with the introduction out of the way, let's now get into today's news. And today we are headed back to the People's Republic of Chicago under the rule of Emperor Brandon Johnson. And what's happening now in the People's Republic of Chicago is that we have an illegal Venezuelan migrant who has been arrested 10 times in 10 months. Yes, since being in the city of Chicago, he has gone 10 for 10 in the city. He is 100% from the field. This man does not miss. Let's get into it because, you know, asylum seeking just to commit 10 crimes in 10 months is crazy work. That's crazy work. And it doesn't sound like asylum seeking to me. Sounds like you came here to commit crime. But what do I know? I'm just on YouTube pushing misinformation. So let's get into this article right here titled Chicago Police Venezuelan Immigrant Arrested 10 Times in 10 Months Now Lives in Jail. Carlos Mavarez Viloria, a Venezuelan immigrant, lived at the Standard Club migrant shelter in the city's downtown area, and police and court documents say he has been arrested 10 times since he arrived to the city of Chicago. He was released after each arrest until the 10th time. So it's looking like 10 is the magic number in Chicago. Once you've been arrested for the 10th time, you will finally spend at least a little time in jail. Up until that point, you can essentially do whatever you want and you will be released every single time, especially if you're an illegal immigrant participating in this mass asylum fraud facilitated by Joe Biden. Let's carry on because really soon we're going to get into what this guy actually did. And you won't believe what he came to Chicago to do. You won't believe it. So let's carry on. The outlet said his first run-in with the law happened when he was accused of stealing items and food from a local Walmart. A judge issued an arrest warrant for the man when he did not appear for his court date, but he was taken into custody after allegedly shoplifting from Macy's. And, you know, obviously, you know, I don't blame him. If I was an illegal immigrant participating in this mass asylum fraud, I would skip out on my court date too to go take a little something from Macy's. He started out at Walmart. He had a court date, but he had more important things to do. He had to step his game up to go from Walmart to Macy's because it's a more high-end store. Who has time to go to court when you can steal from Macy's? Once again, if I was participating in mass asylum fraud in a sanctuary city where I knew nothing would happen to me after I commit crime after crime after crime, I would probably do the same thing. But I digress. Since that time, he has been accused of possessing a crack pipe. I repeat, since that time, he has been accused of possessing a crack pipe, more shoplifting, pulling a gun on a convenience store clerk, disobeying a security guard at Walgreens, and selling clothes without a permit. My man came all the way to Chicago to smoke crack and commit crime. I don't think he really needed to do that. He probably could have smoked crack and committed crime, you know, in his country of origin. But nonetheless, he came to Chicago to do it because he knew he'd be protected by Emperor Brandon Johnson. Now, the article continues to read this because it chronicles in details what happened on the 10th arrest. So here's what happened on the 10th arrest. The CWB Chicago report detailed Villoria's 10th arrest, stating it happened on May 15th at Pritzker Park. Cook County Sheriff's deputies arrested him for several shoplifting cases filed by TJ Maxx, 11 North State, according to court records. Now get this. Viloria pushed, struggled, and fell to the ground with one of the deputies. A second deputy suffered hand and arm injuries, the report said. Now, this doesn't come as a shock to me at all, because as I've reported on so many occasions, and as we have seen over and over again, not just from simple reports, but seeing visual evidence, videotape, when it comes to Biden's migrants committing crime, they never surrender. It always turns into a chase. And even upon getting caught, the situation always turns physical. Now, even outside of the reports that we've gone through over and over again, many of you may remember when I did a video not too long ago, back in February, and I played the interview of a retired Riverside, Illinois police chief, Tom Wetzel. And it was an interview that he did on Fox News. And he literally stated the same thing. The police chief stated, or the retired police chief, I should say, from Riverside, Illinois, he stated that literally Biden's migrants never surrender when they commit a crime, ever. It always turns into a chase. And once you catch them, it always gets physical every single time. So once again, it's no surprise to me that this is what occurred. Now let's carry on. In addition to felony aggravated battery of a peace officer, Viloria was charged with resisting arrest, reckless conduct, and shoplifting merchandise worth $450 from TJ Maxx, including men's clothing and suitcases, according to court filings. The alleged thefts occurred April 9th, April 25th, April 30th, and May 7th. Crime data shows that Chicago Police Department has arrested more than 1,000 Venezuelan immigrants in the first 3 months of 2024, according to a report from the Chicago Tribune. And one thing that should be noted also as well is that many times when these individuals are arrested, the country of origin isn't always recorded. So the reality is that number is most likely a lot higher than 1,000. It's most likely a lot higher than 1,000. But nonetheless, at the end of the day, it's really unfortunate to see what's happening to the city of Chicago. Chicago, just like every other major city, has its own issues to deal with concerning its citizen population. And, there's crime and violence that occurs in any major city. And now to see imported crime, imported nonsense coming into the city and ravaging it the way that it has, once again, it's just really unfortunate and really quite sad, especially for a city as great, historically great and beautiful, especially as it pertains to its downtown as Chicago. But I think we all know nothing's going to happen, right? Nothing is going to come out of all this. Biden's migrant came all the way to Chicago to smoke crack, commit crime, pull guns out on people, and beat up the Chicago PD, all knowing that he will never get deported because Chicago is a sanctuary city. Now, mind you, and I haven't stated this in a long time, but it still baffles me and is mind-blowing to think that if the feds were after me and I was in Chicago PD would collaborate with the feds to turn me in, right? But if you're an illegal immigrant and you're wanted by the feds just meaning federal officers, right? But if you're an illegal immigrant and you're wanted by the feds, ICE, Chicago PD will not collaborate. They'll collaborate to put a U.S. citizen in jail, me. They'll collaborate to apprehend a U.S. citizen like you and me. But when it comes to Biden's migrants, hands off. We will not collaborate. We're going to keep them in Chicago. And not only that, we're going to continue to release them on the street, no matter how much crack they smoke, no matter how many guns they pull out on people, and no matter how many police officers they beat up. Yeah. R.I.P. Chicago, unfortunately. R.I.P. Chicago. And with all that being said, that does it for today's news. So I want to thank you all for joining me today. Please hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video out on your social media platforms. And also don't forget to follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below and will be pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you all for your time. And until the next video, peace and have a great afternoon.